Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another My Team Career Mode video. And for today's video, we are going to be going to the Dutch Grand Prix at the Zandvoort circuit, which is one of my best tracks, if not the best track on this F1 game. And I really enjoy this turn. A lot of blind corners, a lot of really fun turns. The banking is really fun. So many different lines you can take, and I'm really excited for this race. Before I start this video though, if you guys haven't checked out the one before, go check that out. I'll leave a link in the top right corner of your screen any second now. And with the spoiler warning out of the way, I'm just going to hop straight into this video. Hopping into this video, all our aero upgrades are major, so we need some R&D points. And with FP1 being rain, I didn't bother trying to go out. So FP2, I'm just doing my thing, and FP3 will be simulated. But heading into qualifying, I'm going to try and get out of Q1 for the first time this season. So our teammate having out-qualified us 3-1, and I really think we can do this. And this time I'm for real, because Zandvoort is one of my best tracks on this game. And so if I don't make it through to Q2, I'm going to be really disappointed. I really do believe we can do it. And so I end up doing 2 laps in Q1 with my first one. You guys are watching it right now. And this one I felt like wasn't the worst lap of all time. There was a lot of improvement in the first couple of turns, and heading down this long straight. See, we get the line quite right there, and heading into this section we go pretty nicely. Take a ton of curb though, so that startled us a bit, and we run really wide through the next turn. I don't know which turn that is. We run really wide through there, so we lose a ton of time, like 4 or 5, maybe 6, 10 in total due to those 2 mistakes, and missed the curb right there, which isn't ideal, but we managed to make it work anyway, so we didn't lose too much time out of that, and we did pretty nice actually heading out of that last turn and heading onto this main straight string as tight as possible to the right hand side, and we come across for a 111.3, which is good enough for P3 as of right now, but you can see as this session draws to a close, we end up in P8. And we have a 5-place grid penalty for changing our gearbox, which was at 75%, so we'll have to qualify in a really good position if we want to make up for that. And so here we're moving on to the end of Q2, where I've already put in a lap, but it was slower than my Q1 lap time, and it's a 111.4, so I head out again. Although things are looking pretty nice for us right now, we're still in P6, and we run wide through turn 1, which is not ideal, but I still have to find a way to make it work. We're 2/10 down as we round turn 3, go around turn 3. And so onto this straight, we're about 2/10 down. We gotta try and make up that time. But so far, Zandvoort's been treating us really nicely, and the car feels like it was made for this track. It's just been doing really well. We missed the curb on the turn before this one, and we run really wide on this turn again. But we are 3/10 up at this point in time, and heading onto the straight, we get a good exit. We're 3/10 up, and I don't know, it just feels really good. We take a ton of curb heading into the chicane, or I like to think of it as a chicane. We're about 4/10 up now, heading into this final turn. We get a good exit out of here, and coming across the line, we're up to a 4.5 tenth improvement, and so we get a purple third sector and a 110.9, which is a pretty good lap time considering the mistakes that we made, and so we are up to P3 for now. And moving on to the end of the session, we are comfortably through to Q3 in P4, a whole second ahead of our teammate who's down in P13. And so with our 5-place grid penalty, this is looking really nice so far. Even though some cars are on the mediums, we still managed to make it through on the soft, and we could have not gone for another lap with the 111.4, and I think now looking back at it, I probably should have tried to go through on the mediums, but I'm not going to complain. And so I'm just fast forwarding to the end of Q3, where I'm going to show you my fastest lap of the session. And so getting a good exit is really important, heading onto this main straight. And then you want to brake right underneath the sign and go down to second, short shift up to fourth, get a late apex on that first turn, try to get on the power as soon as possible. You can afford to barely brake into turn 2, and then you want to short shift up to third from second on turn 3 and try and get on the power as soon as possible again. And just stick to the side of the road. That's really important on the next couple of turns. You can go in flat out and then go down a gear heading into this next sequence of corners. It's a bit tricky. Here you want to brake right before the 50-meter board, head up to 5th, short shift up to 5th gear, go all the way over to the right hand side, and then go down to 3rd and short shift up to 4th. And you just have to try and create a slingshot effect onto the main straight, or onto the next straight. Then you want to take as much curb as possible. You can see I didn't take too much curb. Go down to 2nd gear and just accelerate. And after the 50-meter board, you want to brake down to 4th, head back up to 5th, and get on the power as soon as possible. Stick to the right-hand side of the road as much as possible, and crossing the line, you can see we get a 1 minute 10.8, even with touching the wall there at the very end.
Today, Hamilton, Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
And for the Q3 results, we end up in 7th place, which is amazing considering where we've been qualifying earlier. And I don't think I would have been able to get 6th place at all, so I'm really happy with that. And with our rivalry against Pierre Gasly, we are leading 7-5, so that's going really well so far. Hopefully we can keep this up and win the rivalry. And Team Acclaim level is going to just about halfway through level 5. I should be going up to level 4 sometime soon, and so we're just going to have to go into the race and see how it goes.
It was 35 years ago that the late great Niki Lauda took his 25th and final Grand Prix win here at Zandvoort. He came from 10th on the grid to beat his McLaren teammate Alain Prost by just 0.2 of a second. Well, Zandvoort is a very different circuit today, of course, but still one with an incredible legacy. And we're going to add to that. Welcome along to the 2020 Dutch Grand Prix. Zandvoort circuit then, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6 mile lap. And watch out for cars making use of the DRS zone into turn 1 to try and overtake. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Now I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Albon, Valtteri Bottas, and Sainz, Kvyat, Perez, Gasly, and Lewis Hamilton. They've taken a grid penalty. Ricciardo, the owner driver, Mick Schumacher, and Raikkonen, Magnussen, Ocon, Romain Grosjean and Lance Stroll, Giovinazzi, Norris, Latifi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
And so heading into this race weekend, I've upped the difficulty from 95 to 97. Hopefully I'm going to be upping it from 97 to 99 for the Spanish Grand Prix. And so I'm just taking away some fuel so that I can have a light car. Hopefully not too much fuel, because you guys saw what happened last time. I barely had enough fuel to finish the race, ran out of fuel on the line. So hopefully that won't happen this race. And so I'm just playing around, seeing how much fuel I should have, and just gonna head on to the formation lap. And so here we are at the end of the formation lap, getting ready to reform the grid. As I had a 5-place grid penalty, I'm down to P12, right in front of Schumacher. And since he's on the medium compound tires, I should be able to stretch my tires out one lap longer than the strategy in case I wanted to try and overcut. And so we're going to 5 red lights, and away we go, and I get a bad launch, but an amazing start afterwards, and I catch up to Hamilton, get in front of Ricardo, and I try to navigate my way around this turn 1. Can't quite get in front of Gasly, I have to slot in behind him, but I've gained a position on Ricardo so far, and I have to go pretty slowly through turn 2, pretty cautious, and I'm starting on the softs. Obviously, so there are some cars behind me that aren't, and some that in front of me that aren't, and so Ricardo's side by side with me going down this section, and I thought I shook him off, but he's still side by side. And even heading through the next section, he's still side by side and just about gets ahead, but then I bring it back together onto the braking zone, and he's still side by side heading into this next left-hander. And exiting the corner, I turn on overtake just to make sure I get in front of him, and I get to keep the spot for now, as I finally lost him, and he's had to slot in behind me. We were side by side for the majority of that first lap. And so now our goal is to just catch up to everyone in front, as we've gained a spot and are now in P11, and the points right in front of us. And so we're heading on to lap number 2, the end of lap number 2, heading on to lap number 3. We got Gasly, our rival, in front of us, and we are catching him by quite a lot. I think he taps the wall right there, and so we get a good run on him around the outside of turn 1, and we make it work until we get up into P10 around the outside of turn 1. And so hopefully we can just catch up to Perez and Sainz and just keep this going. And here on lap number 5, we have kept the gap in front pretty similar, but then there are yellow flags in front. There's a car that's slowing down, and it looks like a Mercedes, and as we get closer, it is the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, who won the last race and was doing really well in this race before he got taken out or retired. And so that promotes us up into P9, which is 2 points. But then not much happens until lap number 8, where this is the lap that we're scheduled to pit on, but I decided to do the opposite of Perez, who's going really slowly, and we go around the outside of the final turn, and he goes into the pit, so we decide to stay out and try to follow Sainz, and hopefully get closer to him in this final lap, and possibly get into the pits and jump Perez. And so we're fast forwarding to the end of lap number 9, where we're in P7 because of 2 cars in front of us pitting, and we've gotten closer to Carlos Sainz. And so heading into the pit, I go on the brakes pretty late, and we do manage to slow the car down. But Mick Schumacher goes into the pits with us, which I do not understand, because he is on the medium compound tires. I don't know why he's pitting on lap number 9, but I guess he did, and so we ended up screwing his race basically because of that. And so Perez, it looked like he was trying to avoid Sainz, as we get a warning for crossing the white line, but they're going really slowly, so I look at him move around the outside into turn 3, but I think better of it, and we're in P13 right now. But we're heading on to the end of lap number 10, where we gain a ton of time on Perez heading out of the last turn, and we have overtake, DRS, and rich mix enabled. He goes really defensive, and we go around the outside, almost around the outside of Carlos Sainz as well, but we decide to not go for that move, and we have to slow down a bit. I didn't want to go into the back of his car, so we have to stick around for P8 for now, and try to overtake Carlos Sainz around on the next straight. And so we're going on to lap number 12 now, and we're just behind Carlos Sainz, and heading onto this main straight, the best overtaking opportunity on this track. This is a very hard track to overtake around. We're gaining a ton, we go around the outside, the same move we did around Sergio Perez, but he's still there on the inside. And so heading into turn 2, I get the better line, I outbrake him, and I move up into P7, with Kvyat now about 3 seconds in front. And unfortunately we cannot catch Kvyat, but we do build a gap to Sainz and Perez behind. But onto the last lap, we come home for P7 crossing the line, and that should hopefully help us a ton in the constructors.
That's the end of the race. race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So, another excellent win from Ferrari. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari. See what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari take the lead at the top of the table. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri's strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
And so we have done a good job here, and we are still in 13th place because Danny Kvyat moves up in front of us in the Drivers' Championship. And that means AlphaTauri move up with 11 points into 7th place. And so we are in the fight for 7th place with AlphaTauri, with 1 point separating us. And possibly we could end up fighting for the midfield, in the midfield fight with the McLaren, Renault, and Racing Point. And if you guys want to see some 50% races, let me know in the comments below, and I might change it at the mid-season point. But for our rivalry with Pierre Gasly, we are still leading 10-8, and with the Team Acclaim, we are still level 5, just barely off of level 6 with the Team Acclaim. So hopefully we can get it up to level 6. We want to try and get it up to level 10 about so that we can get another sponsor. We get both sponsor bonuses today, so that is great. We get 282k out of that, and then 50k in total cash. So that's over 300k. So we're now over $2 million as a team. And so we have a 2-day weekend until the Spanish Grand Prix. So we are going to either do weight training, power team building, or the sponsor event, which is the conference. And I think we end up going for the sponsor event so that we can increase the Team Acclaim. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what we end up going for. And so we are now at 1.2 thousand R&D points as well. And since I'm at $2 million, I'm thinking about getting the resource point generation for either the powertrain or the durability department, as we need a ton of resource points. And you can see here I do get it for the powertrain. We need as many resource points as possible. So once we can get that influx of resource points, then we should be good. And heading into the R&D chart, you can see we are needing to work on aero, but hopefully after an aero upgrade we should do much better. And we go to work on the front downforce, so hopefully that'll come in time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And so the only thing left for us to do is simulate until the Spanish Grand Prix, and that is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'll see you guys next time.